Where you at, dog? Are we live? Okay, we live. We double stream.
But also, with the polygenesis thing, um, they were all he was also making claims that the out of Africa theory is like anti like it doesn't make sense because people are it's saying that life started in Africa, right? But I mean, I understand the point he's trying to make, but we have to be careful because that's not what it's saying. It's saying that Homo sapiens sapien began in the on the African continent, right? But it's not necessarily saying life period started on the African continent.
Mhm.
Obviously, life would have started everywhere on Earth. That's why, like for me, when people bring up polygenesis, I don't have a problem with polygenesis if you're referring to it in the sense of life in general starting around the planet, right? But I think people tend to look at polygenesis only through a human lens, which is a little, like I brought up before, egotistical and narcissistic to think that humans would be the only thing on the planet that would have sprung up everywhere. When we can see throughout other aspects of nature, other animals and certain species have origin points, you know? So I
Let
don't
me
know
ask you a
why.
question.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Sanchez's notion that black people only support the out of Africa theory because it places us as being first and the forefathers of all of humanity? But at the same time, it's a racist notion to assume that we're apes. Because if someone was to call you a monkey or ape, you might get offended. But that's essentially what these European anthropologists were saying when they came up with these theories. How do you feel about that notion?
So I think it's a little it's not framed right because they're not just saying that Africans are apes. They're also saying they're apes because they're saying the whole Homo sapien species are ape. They're not saying we came from apes. They're not saying we came from monkeys. They're saying we are apes. And they're not just applying that to black people. They're applying that to every Homo sapien. And yeah, I do think part of the reason we should embrace that. Give me 1 second.
No, you good. Because I also don't want you to. Dang, what was I about to say? Hold on. Oh, he Sanchez was also saying that that same notion um, basically supports the idea that we are the least evolved or developed of the species because now our offspring are the newer versions. So I also want to hear how you feel about that argument. And I think Sanchez does make some interesting arguments. I like his arguments to an extent because the thing with Sanchez, I actually do believe that he believes what he says. I
Yes,
truly do.
yes, I think I don't think he's being disingenuous with his questions. I think he truly is trying to find answers to things he's confused about. But so when it comes to the whole, well, if we're saying that Homo sapiens sapien began in Africa, would that not make the black African the most primitive human by
Hmm.
logic? And the way I see it is no, not necessarily, because that would superimpose that we just stopped evolving. That once we had offspring, that we just stopped evolving. Like nothing else. Like even with other apes and monkeys, they didn't stop evolving too. They continue to evolve. They're not exactly the same way they were in their inception either. So when it comes to us, especially us here in the U.S. that has all sorts of mixture and admixture, right, with other races of people, like we didn't stop evolving. We're still in the process of development and evolution. It's not something that just stops once you produce offspring, you know? So,
Well,
no.
I wanted to say this as well because Sanchez, and I'm not supporting this because he said it. I'm basically building off of something he brought up that I thought about. He was saying something I said a few weeks ago about this discussion. The environment is not what produces darker or lighter skin tones. And the evolution theory, or whatever you want to call it, states that basically white people came from black people. They went into different climates and environments and developed different features and characteristics. But I'm just not on board with that shit, man. I'm just not. I'm stealing what Elton said because I'm rocking with this now. It just doesn't sit right in my soul. I don't even think it's for emotional reasons. I just think that like my brain doesn't really accept that. Not my emotions, my brain. My brain doesn't accept the fact that you're telling me that because these people were in this area, now they got lighter skin. But we got people in these areas that are dark skinned who've been in these areas for generations and generations. And like Sanchez said, they're not getting lighter. They're still black people. Their noses aren't getting skinnier. They still got wide noses. So the counter argument to that is always it hasn't been long enough yet. So then my question would be, well, how long does it take?
I heard everything you said. Give me one moment.
All good. How long does it take to a nigga to turn into a goddamn Caucasian? How long? And what is this process like? Because if he's mixing and mating with an African woman or a black woman, and then their child mixes and mates with an African woman or a black woman in these colder climates, what does that progression or digression of melanocytes look like? Do they get lighter every 10 generations, even though they're mixing with dark skinned people in these colder climates? Come on now. How long does it take? And what does the process look like? I need someone to really outline it for me and not just state. See, a lot of times we just state these theories, but we don't actually look into the building blocks that create the theories. Because I would actually like to analyze the building blocks that goes into forming these theories and see if they're credible yet. Because we just accept them and say this is a fact. But I really want to dig into them, the building blocks of these theories. Cube says it takes thousands of years. Okay, break down the process for me then. What happens at year 500 or year 1000 and then year 2000? Break it down for me. I need it step by step. Give me the outline, give me the blueprint. How does it work? You know, because otherwise we're just throwing a blanket over this idea and saying this is what it is, this is how it works. But to me, it kind of seems like a cop out. How long does it take? Thousands of years? Yeah, I mean, it's like, come on. All right, if it takes that long, give me the steps in between then. Break it down for me. Spiderface says you're totally right, brother. Plus the fact white people have a recessive gene. I'm not sure what he's saying that in response to. The same thing happened at year 500 is the same thing happened at year 1000. Nah, man, I'm not rocking with that. I'm not rocking with it, man. I'm just not. You know what I mean? We got to look into these building blocks that they're using to come up with these theories, man. You know, but see, I'm always, you know what? I'm gonna venture to say that, Truist, you have an ideology, and Cube also has an ideology because I noticed that y'all kind of stick to the script a little bit, and I think that is textbook ideologue syndrome. That's textbook ideologue syndrome. I want to see how flexible, how agile you guys are with your thinking. Can you bend your thinking away from what the playbook says? Right? I think we got a little bit too rigid in the playbooks. Like for example, I'm listening to Ngozi earlier, and I'm like, you know, it's amazing you could spit back all this information. Like I looked it up online, and you
I'm
just
back
remember.
whenever.
Yeah. I'm just talking about Ngozi right now, and I'm talking about being a little bit rigid. So I'm listening to Ngozi earlier go in, talking to Sanchez about how the out of Africa theory actually works, and I'm like, yo, dude, it's amazing that you could like regurgitate all this knowledge and like literally You sound like you're reading it off of a computer, but you're in your car. Like you got that shit locked into your brain. But at the same time, I'm like, did you even really think about any of this, or you just remembered it? And I think that is like a case of being stuck in like an ideology. So, Truist, basically, while you're gone, I
No,
said that you.
I heard everything you said, bro. I heard
Okay, go ahead.
everything. Uh, before I like get into the beginning half, with the latter half, with like how I think, I really don't look at myself as an idealist because I I have a very like what I tend to do is I like to see what people know. I like to test and pick at people's brains, and I also like to kind of train my brain to think more analog and think more materialistic now because I spent most of my life philosophizing about everything. I spent most of my life being skeptical and questioning everything. Um, like my atheism has always been present since I'd say I was 17, but it was more so like a skeptical and philosophical atheism where now I'm
Cut out, man. You still there? Dang, Truist, what's going on with your microphone, man? That shit been happening for like a week.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, someone just tried to call me. My fault. Um,
Oh, okay.
I'm leaning more into like learning more about the sciences, and things of that nature. So a lot of the arguments I make now are not even like my strong suit. They're arguments on things I'm reading and learning about now. And honestly, if you would like for me to make more like thoughtful, philosophical arguments, I can. And we've had a few on your channel. But when it comes to these conversations, yeah, I like to talk what the sciences say because most of the time people have problems with what the sciences say. People tend to not have issues with opposing philosophies because they'll just chalk it up to, well, brother, that's what you believe, and
No,
nobody
no, no,
can
no,
tell
no.
you
Hold on.
what you believe.
Hold on, Truist, because it's
Yeah.
funny you use that word believe because I was just about to say you believe in science.
um.
You believe in
So
the mainstream theories that have been presented, no?
so I don't. So there's certain things of science, certain aspects of science, certain theories in science, certain things dealing with so-called science that I don't agree with. But there's a lot of the fundamental things I do agree with. And the things that I do agree with, I wouldn't really look at them as beliefs. I would look at them
I
as
like how you did that. I like how you changed it from, no, I don't believe in it. I agree with it. Okay, I like that one too. Yeah,
so
I'm
so
feeling that.
So like with some of the fundamental things, I would look at them as things I could verify, kind of like with math. Like and most of the things in science that are fundamental deal with math. It like literally you don't have certain sciences without math. But yeah, there are some things in science where I'm like, nah, I don't necessarily rock with that. You know, I can understand how people could come to certain conclusions with things, but I don't
Mhm.
necessarily rock with it. Same thing with philosophy. Like there's certain philosophical perspectives I can understand how someone's mind could go that. And also speaking of the subjective, when we were talking about that,
Mhm.
everything in philosophy is subjective. Period.
Yes. Yeah.
When you're talking philosophy, it's completely subjective because it's dealing with thought and thinking, and thinking and thought is completely perspective of the persons who thoughts you're talking to and communicating with, and that makes it subjective. So when we're having like questions that's dealing with the nature of reality, unless we're just looking at it materialistic with science, if it's just like a philosophical conversation, then yeah, it's completely subjective. And a good example of me thinking outside the box is when we were talking about aliens and how I was saying, like just because people think that if some aliens manage to touch down on Earth, that doesn't necessarily mean they'd have to be more advanced than us. That's me thinking outside the box, because most people would think I'm crazy for seeing it that way. Like, how could you think that? Like, in what scenario would you suggest that aliens would be able to travel here and they not be more advanced than us? But me using my free thinking mind, I can come up with a few scenarios where that's possible. You
Okay.
know what I mean?
Now, I want you to deal with this part. We were talking about, well, I was talking about the fact that I agree with Sanchez in the sense where, and I'm not gonna say I agree with him because I brought this shit out weeks ago too. But I guess me and him on the same page a little bit. I don't really see how a black person comes from a white person, or a white person comes from a black person, other than through sex. I don't think it happens environmentally whatsoever, unless you're going to include sex as part of the environment. But if we're talking about like the not biological, but the chemistry of the environment affecting one's skin and facial features and phenotypes to the point that you could start off with a black person and end up with a white person over thousands of years. I want to talk about that, and I want you to explain to me, not just a theory, because I know you agree with that evolutionary theory. I want you to be able to describe some of the steps in between that takes place over those thousands of years. So tell me what happens at, well, first of all, tell me how long it takes, right? And then tell me what happens at like the halfway mark, at like the 3/4 mark, at the 1/4 mark. Can you break down some of these building block steps where we start off with the black man and we end up with the white man? Can you break that down for me?
Okay, so self-admittedly, I'm not like these other YouTube people. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you like I got all the answers. I'm not a biologist, but I can try to give you the information that I do know, and that may attempt to answer some of your questions. So, um, I I I hate to use this because it could seem like a cop out, but
All
partially
right,
from a
man. We don't want
scientific.
to listen to this shit, man. You niggas, both of you niggas is crazy.
All right, go ahead. My bad. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, nah. Partially the way science sees the races, the different races, like you said, how do you get a black man from a white man, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
The way it's
Mm-hmm.
seen, it's more so we're all Homo sapien sapien, but you can have right side, I can talk. But we have variations. We're different variants and variations, almost like how with COVID, you have different variants of a virus. I don't mean to compare us to viruses, but this is how you get certain phenotypical differences depending on the environment. Now, when you mentioned environment, yes, climate is only one part of the environment. People tend to look at climate as environment in its entirety, but climate environment is more than just the climate. It's also the food you have access to in said environment, the food you're eating, the vegetation, your water supply, you know, how much UV radiation you're exposed to, right? And yes, I would argue from a sociological perspective, sex would be in part of the environment. The access to who you have the ability to mate with and to reproduce with, your sexual options in a closed environment would be a part of the environment,
Can you
along with
explain
the
this?
climate. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask you, can you explain it without using sex? Because I totally agree that people's physical characteristics can change via sex. That's not even a question. But the argument is,
So
go ahead.
do you think physical characteristics can change via via the food you eat, via the water you drink, via basically anything you ingest in your body?
I
Like, do
just
you think
never.
you can
Mm,
ingest something in your body, whether it be liquid, food, vegetation, and or some other form of chemicals that can change your biology and even have effects on your offspring?
I'm not aware of any water that is able to change a nigga into a goddamn Caucasian.
Well, no, no,
I'm
no,
not
no, no.
aware of any
Before
food.
we wait, JJ. Before we get to that grandiose of a variation. Let's just start on minor like adaptations and like are you aware that certain things you ingest in your body can have ramifications on the genetical makeup of your offspring, just from mother to child. Forget about tens of thousands of years, which is how long I say it would
but
take.
come on, man. Come on. We being elementary with this shit. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And come on, man. Like, come on, Truist. You know what I'm saying to you.
No. The
Hold
reason
on.
I have to, the reason I have to start there is because, like you said, we have to look at the foundations these theories are built off of, right? And what
So are
I'm
you
saying
telling
is,
me there's
I'm saying,
food and water that's gonna make your nose go from flat and wide to skinny and pointy?
I'm saying the combination, and again, like before I answer that, I'm dealing with these foundational things because they are the foundation of evolution. Because before you get to phenotypical differences, you have genetic variations and things and variations that take place on a molecular level before you even get to see these differences on a phenotypical level, right? So that's why I'm starting there. But yes, I think the food, the liquids, the different things you consume in your body, in your environment, along with the other things in your environment, like the climate, like your sexual accessibility, all these things work together to produce a very specific variation of a Homo sapien sapien. And we can see these things happen just from mother to child.
Oh
Like for
man, we
example,
playing games now, bro. We
no,
playing games now, bro.
I'm really not.
Listen, Chris,
That's a
Chris.
straightforward answer.
Listen to what I said. I said I have no argument against sexual reproduction being a reason why people's features change their skin color from generation to generation. I'm saying.
Okay, so let me ask you this:
But
if you're saying sex could change, if you're saying sex can change the features, right? What like if that's the case,
sorry, I don't want to say
let's say
change. I want to say produce, because really,
okay, even if
that
you want to say
person isn't
produce,
being
right?
changed; they're just being produced.
Even if you want to say produce, if the first two humans were the same, how do you ever get change coming from sex from the two
But
same
you
like in
made an
order for
assertion
sex
right
to
there, though. Who said the first two humans were the same?
okay, so what are you suggesting would be the cause of the variations we see
I
using
didn't.
sex alone? Like
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
if we're
yeah.
saying sex alone is what causes these
Oh, this
like
is
how
kind of
exactly would that
easy.
work?
Yeah, well, this is kind of easy, right? Because if we're thinking of, I'm gonna go off the cuff, right? You kind of made the assumption that they were the same. I didn't make that assumption, but let's assume the first two humans are different. They have different characteristics. Let's just assume. We'll call one A, the other one B. They get together, now they make AB, right? They make another one and they make another AB. Now, it sounds weird, but if those ABs were to mix, it sounds weird as hell. I understand. But if those ABs were to mix, you could get AA, BB, and okay, maybe there's a variation. I see Cubis here. Um, I think you could get just from that line. Now you already are seeing variations that you didn't see before. Just from that, that
Peace,
are
y'all.
different, that are different than
Peace,
what's good.
Cube. Long time no see, brother.
Yeah, man. Shouts out to y'all.
Yeah,
Go ahead, my bad.
you good, bro. You good. Um, already right there. What was your original question before I go too far?
Yeah, no, I was saying if we're suggesting that sex alone is what produces variation in humans, like how exactly would you say the process
Oh, and
works?
you know what? You know what this also goes into though, because now when you said the first two humans, that's already built on a monogenesis assertion or theory. Now, what if they're different humans all over the place? Now you got different people in different places, and now that's even more plausible that you get variations because there's different types of people around the earth. Now, if we use it from your perspective that you only start off with these two in this one spot, then yes, it becomes like a more trickier argument to make. But if we use a polygenesis theory, it becomes actually very easy to explain.
Right. That's exactly why I asked, because the only way I think what you're suggesting would work is with polygenesis, with a polygenesis model. And I think just for me, I don't see polygenesis models in any other aspect of the animal kingdom. You don't see other species just springing up out around the entire planet at once. They all have an origin point. So just personally for me, I don't see why it would be plausible that humans spring up around the entire Earth and that we don't have a specific origin, just like every other animal.
Who said
That's why
who said that about animals, though? I feel like you're making another assertion.
I mean, point out an animal. I can pinpoint the origin.
We starting with the humans first. I ain't ready to go off into the animals yet.
Well, no, I only said that to kind of show my issue with the polygenesis theory. I don't see polygenesis with any other species of animals. But this is what
is really built off of an ideology, because now you're assuming that like all of these things have like a common origin. So really, again, we're getting back to the ideology that kind of formulates.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I'm saying that to say, in order for you to think that human beings went through polygenesis and nothing else did, that's kind of like making humans seem like we're something special compared to other beings on the planet. Like it all comes back to the idea that human beings are like that human beings are unique, that we have some special origin, whether it be supernatural or through aliens or
who said that? Nobody said that.
No. I'm just saying that's what that would suggest, because we don't see anything else. Okay, so what else? So what else?
I think things could be unique without them needing to be better or higher up or more grandiose than other things. I think that's kind of you asserting that onto this. So what in nature could we? What other animal in the animal kingdom can we point to and say they're polygenic? Bro,
what animal can we say is polygenic?
Listen, gang. I just told you I'm not ready to go off and I'm not ready to go there yet. I'm just now getting this theory together. I'm just now building this one. But when I'm ready to take that walk with you, I'll take that walk with you. But right now, I'm just building the human side. I'm just building.
No problem.
I'm not ready to go there yet. I don't know.
Yeah, no problem.
What's good, Cube? Go in.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, what you started off by saying is that I think you said something to the effect of, if you have like A and then it mixes with B, and then it's going to have AB, then you can take AB together and get ABA or BAB. This is exactly the process that we see. So when I told you in the chat and I said that, because you would like explain what happens point by point. And what I'm telling you is what happens in year 500 is going to be the same exact thing that's happening in year 100,000. And that's exactly what you said. You just didn't know it. So allow me to correlate it for you.
Go ahead.
So if you have, like, on average, there's about 100 mutations that happens in a child. When a woman gives birth, that child has an approximately 100 mutations that takes place, which causes it to be different than the mother and father. So if you were to take that 100 mutations over the course of 100 years, you're having a child every 2 years, you're talking about 5,000 different mutations. Now, if you multiply that 5,000 over the course of 100,000 years, you're talking about 500 million mutations. So when you say, oh man, it's too difficult for me to understand, well, how can you stay the same and look exactly the same and be the exact same thing with 500 million mutations? Now, that's only 100,000 years. What happens when we go 400,000 years? Now you're looking at 2 billion different mutations. You see what I'm saying? So when I say the same thing that happens in year 500 is the same thing that's happening in year 100,000, is the same thing that's happening in year 200,000. Things change over time. That's just all it is. And you really understand it. But sometimes things just need to be put in a different way.
Nah, I'm going to have to go and hit the replay on that, nigga. You went over my head with that shit. I'm a baby, man. I'm a baby with this information, bro. I'm gonna hit the replay button though. It's all good.
Oh, okay. Basically, what I just did was I told you that when you put A and B come together, they make a AB, and
Mm-hmm.
then they have another child is AB, and then AB goes and meets and has AB meets Y, and then they have a AYB, and
Mm-hmm.
then AYB has a child with X, and then now they have a little child that's BX. So now, over the course of 1,000 years, you're gonna have children that's running around here that's BXY, XYB, BXB, BBX, BBL.
And yes.
So you're gonna have all of these different things. So
but
over the course of, go ahead.
but do you understand that I actually agree with that argument?
I know you agree with it
I'm not
because that's what I'm
disputing the
saying.
sexual part. I'm disputing the environmental molecular influence that
Okay,
changes the person.
throw
That's what I'm
throw it
challenging.
away. Okay, well, listen. Even if you throw it away, what you cannot get away is the part that you agree with, because the simple fact that things change and mutate over time, we cannot get around that. You agree with that? That right there yourself is evidence enough that things change over time. We don't
Right.
even have to the other things when it comes to environments and things of
A
that nature.
cube.
Yeah,
So the issue is he doesn't disagree that things change over
exactly,
time.
exactly.
The issue is his
No, I
question
do.
is
I do.
his
I do.
well
Because
no
you know what I said?
no hold
Listen, let me
on.
go
He
ahead, bro.
agrees. He just thinks it's primarily or mostly via sex. Because
Yes.
you agreed that things change, you just think it's primarily through sex. So that's where we're
Well, what
having a
things am I
disconnect.
talking about? What things? I'm talking about your physical.
Phenotypical
Right. And here's what I said
variation.
though.
Yeah.
And here's what I said. I said, the actual people themselves aren't changing. It's what's being produced that changes.
Which would be people, right? So that would mean people
Right.
change.
But it's not that person who's living, breathing, who starts
But
to go
this
from dark. Listen, who starts to go from dark to light. That's not what we're seeing. We're not seeing that physical person suddenly start to change and get a slimmer nose and such. It's what's being produced that's changing.
but why would, come on, brother? Let's be honest here. I think you're being a bit dishonest. Why would you see a single person over the course of a 70-year lifespan start to turn white or their nose gets slimmer?
And
Come
that's what
on,
I'm
that's
saying.
not realistic. But who makes that argument? Nobody
Right.
makes that argument. We're
And that's
talking
why
about people
I'm
groups.
saying it's sex that does it, bro.
Oh,
That's
and
what does it.
I agree with you. No one's
Okay, so we
disagreeing with
on
you.
the same page then.
No, that's why I just told the truth. It's like, yeah, he does agree with us. That's why I said we can throw away the environment
I
All right,
and
agree.
all of
cool.
that.
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that.
It's sex, but I don't think it's just sex.
No,
That's where
listen. No. But we don't have to do that because
okay.
if he doesn't want to accept the environment and everything else that takes place, that's cool. Because
Okay.
this one thing in sex, that's the one thing that we know for a fact that causes change, and he agrees with that. So if
Yeah.
he agrees with that, then what he cannot get away from is that we look totally different, we look totally different 300,000 years ago. You can't get away from that. So now what happens when you add another 300,000 years? If you add another 300,000 years, we cannot look the same due to these mutations of
Okay,
sex.
I can
Never
accept
mind the
that.
environment.
Yeah, I can accept that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I'm
why I
cool
say
with that.
you
I'm cool
get
with
it,
that.
bro. Yeah, you get it. Like it's when we add the environment, it's just extra to help out and add facts to the theory. That's all it is, but you don't have to
Okay.
accept that. You don't have to, and I wouldn't be mad at you if you're like, I don't believe this because I've never seen it. But what you do know is that two different types of dogs can mate and create something else. We can see that in
Mm-hmm.
real time. We can
Mm-hmm.
see that in real time. So if that's the only thing that you want to accept, then that's okay. But it's by accepting that one thing is going to lead you back to being an ape. By accepting that one thing, it's going to lead you back to being an ape, and you can't get around that.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I like that. I'm cool with that as long as as long as we staying on the sex part. I agree with that part. I'm cool with that. All good.
Yeah, I don't got to fight every point because you already agree with the majority. Like that's the main mover is sex. That's the main mover.
Yeah. What's good, Dulcinea? I see you kicking up dust. Dulce be kicking up dust. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out. I was thinking about that. How you been, though, Q? What's going on with you, bro?
Hey, I just wanted to say real fast. Hey, Dulcinea, you know, I'm rooting for you in this debate tournament. You might be surprised by that, but compared to everybody else that's in that tournament,
This nigga eating a
I'm
steak
rooting
and
for
cheese.
you.
What you eating, nigga?
Yeah, I'll be eating rice and chicken and broccoli.
Oh, okay,
But
okay.
yeah, I'm rooting for you. Um, I hope you win. I was gonna be rooting for Lex, but you won by technicality, so it's kind of like when the team that beat your team move on, you kind of want to see that team that beat your team continue forward, so you can say at least we lost to the champion. So good luck.
I haven't seen a bracket or anything yet, so it's kind of, you know how we are. We like to see a bracket so we can see the potential matchups and shit like that. But there's really no visual to it. I don't even know who she's debating next. Dulcinea, who you debate next? Let me know. I want to know who's next. Is it even formulated yet, or is it just kind of going with the flow? It kind of seemed like it's going with the flow and getting set up impromptu as we go about the days. She said thank you though, Truth.
Yeah,
What's
no
this nigga?
problem.
Yeah, this nigga eating a steak and cheese, trying to lie like he's eating something healthy. Nigga, you ain't eating no healthy shit. Nigga, that's a steak and cheese, nigga. You had half your mouth full, nigga. Come on now. She said, I don't know. I heard it was Naftali and Christina next. Naftali and Christina. I think you could beat Naftali. You could beat both of them. I think Christina might be a little bit more difficult to beat, but I think you could beat Naftali. I don't know. We gotta see. Let me not even say. We gotta see.
If it's not Tali, you're gonna beat her by a landslide. She don't got the information you got. But with Christina Nip, the issue you're gonna run into her is her decorum and her ethos. She likes to appeal to emotion a lot. You're gonna have to find a way to get around that. She's really good with that. But information wise, she's not too strong outside of the Bible.
I like Naftali. I like Naftali. Maybe because that's a different story. But
Yeah, she's a cool person. She's a nice
yeah. She's
she's a cool
likable.
person.
She's
Yeah.
likable. Yeah. Dulcinea said Naftali is saying back issues are happening, but Q Butter wants to debate me. Now I'm gonna be real with you. That's gonna be a tough debate. That'll be a tough debate. Yeah, I would like to see that one though. That would be a good debate. I would like to see you, and I'd rather see Dulcinea and Q Butter than Dulcinea versus Naftali or Christina. I don't. Yeah, I'd like to see that. So hopefully you get matched up with Q Butter. I think that would be a better debate. That all these people do, including Cube, is appeal to emotion. Yeah, Lex Vortex is good. I feel like that's a skill though. Being able to appeal to emotion is a skill because humans are largely emotional, even more than logical. We
Yeah, I
root for
mean
who we like, not for who
that's
we.
why I use ethos, because ethos is dealing with ethics, right? Emotions. Logos dealing with logic, and
Logic.
pathos is dealing with the information more so, right? Dealing with substance. So I think, yeah, a lot of people deal with ethos, especially in the black community, because that's how we were raised, uh, which I don't think is a bad thing. We tend to be the most emotional community of people on the planet due to that black church and other
I,
things,
I
you know?
agree with that.
But
Well. Them Arabs are very emotional when it comes
yeah,
to
that's why I
their
said other
Quran.
things, the black church and other things, you know? But I think a lot of times I'm trying to work on that. I'm trying to deal with logos more. Because even over patho, I think information is good, but I think logic trumps everything in most debates. Like
No,
you
it
could have
doesn't
no,
though. Nah, it doesn't though, bro. Because, well, I'm sorry. Uh, Finish your thought. I apologize. Go ahead.
well, nah, you're right. You're right because someone can win the audience with emotion and end up winning the debate, right? Um, but just for me, I like to see logic. I like to see sound, rational
Well,
arguments.
well, let's think of like a Dulcinea versus a Q Butter, right? I think Q Butter deals with a lot of logic, logos. What's pathos? What's pathos again?
Pathos is dealing just ECID. Pathos is dealing more with like information,
Okay.
dealing with tangible things.
So okay, so I see what it is. So pathos is like the substance, and logos is like how you formulate that substance, and then ethos is how you deliver it.
Exactly.
Okay, so I think Q Butter, I don't think he puts a lot of ethos into his debate style, but he definitely has the logos and the pathos.
For
If like
me, Q Butter is like mainly like he's like 80% pathos with the science, and then like he's
mhm,
20% logos. Like I think Lex is like
ethos.
50% ethos, 50%
Hmm.
logos.
Hmm.
Like his logic sometimes, like even like he could be wrong. Like his information could be wrong, but like he makes it like a rationally sound argument. Like
Right,
some that's
right,
that's the beauty of those three branches of reasoning. You can have a
right.
logical argument that's completely wrong, or you can have an emotional argument that's completely wrong, or you can have a completely right argument that isn't logical. I mean, you can have the right information, I'm saying, that isn't logical in the way you present
Well,
it.
let's analyze Dulcinea. I don't think those. Well, see, I was gonna say I don't think Dulcinea really deals with a lot of ethos, but she can, and I think that's actually your weakness, Dulcinea.
No,
When
no,
you
no, no,
start,
no. No,
hold
hers
on,
is all
Negro.
ethos, brother.
No,
It's
it's
all
not.
ethos.
He's
Yes, it
fucking
is,
with you,
brother.
Dulcinea.
No,
He's
no,
fucking with
no,
you.
no, no.
He's
No,
fucking
I'm
with
telling
you.
you.
No, 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 no,
Listen.
no, no. She's
All right.
not, man. That's
Okay.
when she. Hold on, Cube. I'm gonna let you rock. I'm gonna let you rock. I think when Dulcinea gets emotional, that's when she's actually at her worst. I think that's when she starts to get irrational. And now, just from a perspective and a viewer, that's where the I don't want to say likability, but the root ability goes down when she gets in that mode. I think she deals mostly with the substance, which is the pathos, and she tries to formulate it logically. I think that's where she's strongest at. I think the ethos is her weakness, and it's not because like having emotion is not a bad thing. It's how you project it that can be the bad thing. So hopefully you don't take offense to that, Dulcinea. I think what I'm saying is actually a compliment. And I'm not trying to coach you because I'm not a debater, but I just watch and listen. Go ahead, Q.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's 100% ethos, and I think what you may be, misconstruing a bit is that thinking that emotional it has something to do with being loud and irrational. No, that's not what I'm saying. Because her arguments don't make sense when she make them, and it's not logical. So that's why I say 100% ethos and tries to appeal to the emotion,
I
especially with type.
understand.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
I see what you're saying. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah. So when we're dealing with topics about black people, she appeals to the emotion because she understands, like, to the majority of people, they do not agree with us being apes. They do not agree that we all come from Africa. You see what I'm saying? Like, they just don't know a lot of these things. So she appeals to the emotion within the ignorance of the people. So that's why I say 100%. I'm being that's a bit tongue in cheek, but I would say maybe 90% ethos and probably maybe 10% unfounded.
Well,
But
I
yeah,
think I think you're
and hold
getting.
on, let me just say this real quick though. I'm not saying that to disrespect the sister. I promise you, I'm not saying that. I do have respect for her. I just think her information is terrible. I have no problem with the sister whatsoever.
I think you're more so referring to her motivation behind her arguments. I think what you're saying is, well, the way I interpret what you're saying is the motivation behind her arguments are emotional. But that doesn't mean that the way she delivers her arguments are emotional.
No, that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is because of her motivation that causes the outcome. That causes her to be 100% ethos is because of the driving force behind her. That's what causes that. Because if you were being logical and you were looking at some of the data that she employs in attempts to disperse, you would say, "Come on, this is bullshit."
Yeah, I mean, but what if she? Okay, well, Dulcinea, you know what?
And I'm not seeing. I
I'm
don't
gonna
want to
leave
make it
that
seem like I'm trying to single the sister out. We just happen to talk about it. Y'all talked about Lex too. I think when it comes to Lex, I think he's about maybe 70% ethos,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. Now, I would probably say 60% ethos, maybe 20% pathos, and 20% um,
Mm.
logos, 20% logos. Because he a lot of times he throws logic away just to appeal to the emotion of people, and a lot of
Yeah, I
us
could
do
see
that.
that. Mm-hmm.
A lot of us do that. We throw away
Yep.
our logic just to try to appeal to the emotion so people can understand what we're attempting to convey. But as far as myself, if I can critique myself,
That shit
I
never
think
works with me. When you go total ethos with me, I just look at you like you full of shit.
exactly, and that's the problem I have because I'm 100% logos. I don't because I'm indifferent. Like I can care less about how you feel about the information. I'm 100% logos. I could care about the other shit. I'm just strictly logic. That's it. I'm only dealing with the logic. In the logic, it kind of dovetails with the pathos.
Mm.
So that's kind of what if I were to critique myself. Now, I probably should add a bit more ethos to a lot of my arguments because, like you say, like we're humans and this is how we bond. But I can't lie to people just to bond with them. That's never been a part of the fabric of my being. I've never been able to do that. So, especially knowing
Yeah,
that I'm lying, I can't do it.
you like 0 on the scale of ethos.
Yeah, that's
You're
why I
like
say
0.
yeah. I agree. Yeah, because I
Yeah,
can
I
care
think
less.
it's really hard. I think it's really hard for
Yo,
like
Truist. Now you nigga, you are like
He's like a perfect ball. Like he's like all the way around. He's like
no.
33.3 all
No, he's
around. I'm
not.
telling
No,
you.
he
Yes,
ain't.
he
No, he
is,
ain't.
bro.
This nigga right here got a little bit more ethos in him. I'm telling you, he
No,
appeals to the
I
ethics. Yes, he
disagree.
does.
I
Yes, he
disagree.
does. Yes, he
nah,
does.
bro,
The
because
basis of this, nigga, hold on,
you know
nigga.
how I'm
Hold
void
on,
of
nigga.
ethos.
Hold on,
All
nigga.
right, go
Hold
ahead.
on. Come on, 10 seconds, bro. Yes, Truist. I'm not saying you're not logical. You're very logical. I'm not saying you don't deal with substance, but the appeal in your arguments is actually the ethics and the emotion behind it. People don't people aren't drawn to you because you're logical. People aren't drawn to you because of your substance. People are drawn to you because of the way you deliver your information in a very ethical, respectable way. Trust me on that.
No. I'm drawn to this brother, and I'm just speak for myself. I'm drawn to the brother because I think he's extremely logical. That's just me. I'm drawn to people like that. No homo. I'm just drawn to people like that.
He is
You know,
logical. I agree.
Yeah,
he does
yes.
he does have a bit more empathy and sympathy than I do.
Right.
But that's why I say he's a perfect ball. He's like 33.3% in every
Nah,
position.
that nigga
You know,
40 with the
Yeah,
ethos, man.
I don't think being respectable and like carrying yourself with decorum is ethos. I think ethos is the way your arguments are formulated. Your arguments are
Yes.
purposely. Wait, hold on. Your arguments are purposely formulated in a way to string at the heartstrings of the audience. That's not what I
Yes.
do. I don't.
You know
Hold
how
on.
you do it?
I don't. Wait, hold on.
You know
I
how you
don't
do it?
form.
You
I don't.
even do it.
Wait.
You
All
even
right, go ahead.
Go ahead, Nick. No, I was
Yeah,
gonna say you even do it. You even do it with the way that you speak and deliver, bro. I'm trying to. It's even in your voice and your delivery.
but
That
no,
shit
it's not
is.
a try. It's not a try thing. This is how I talk, and this is what I'm saying. Like I just carry myself with respect until I'm disrespected. But
I'm
like
pulling up this definition.
I'm not purposely formulating conversation and
It doesn't
arguments
have to be purpose.
to appeal to the heartstrings of people. And here's the other thing: I don't believe in ethics or morals in the first place. How many conversations when I told you, like,
Yeah,
bro,
you
I
do,
think
nigga.
morals is something that we make up as we go. So like that's not what I'm looking for when I
Well,
formulate
yeah, me and you
arguments.
gotta have a conversation about that.
I formulate arguments to be sound and rational
Listen,
and logical. logical. So that's not my steal though. I don't.
Look,
I hardly believe in morality in the first place.
look. I'm not saying you're a fucking Bible believer now. That's not what I'm getting at here. But what I'm saying is, even unintentionally, without you realizing that you have this type of appeal in your
Exactly.
arguments,
Exactly.
if we look at this like ethos, how they break it down: spirit, character, mood, feeling, temperament, essence. Bro, I'm telling you, that is one of your strongest like departments in your quality as just like a person, a communicator. I'm telling you, bro.
And if I can add, if I can add, the reason we're saying this about you, bro, is because this helps you communicate with people better. Whereas myself, I just tell people what the fuck it is. I'm indifferent. If you can accept it or check it, and that's just how it is with me. You're more willing to um, give people a chance, and okay, let me try to talk you off the ledge. You know, I'm just not like that when it's time to make arguments and debate. I can really care less about how you feel and what people can connect with you, and sometimes you can end up having them agree with you is because of the empathy and or sympathy that you may display. I'm telling
Right.
you, like
You got
that's all
that,
we're
Truth.
saying,
You
bro.
got that quality to you, man. You
Because
definitely do.
listen. Last thing I'll say, when the Native American brother was on here, right? When he introduced you, by the way he introduced me, they were totally different. This brother said, "Yo, I'm gonna tell you right now, Cube. He's just gonna tell you how it is. He's just gonna come straight for it. You know, that's it. You know, that's the
Right.
but when the truest came on, he was like, all right, yeah, we got the truest. Go ahead, brother. Because he expects you to just be cool, collect your thoughts. He know, damn, Cube. He wanted to say that because he like, yo, Cube may say some shit that is disrespectful.
But he's
That's
gonna
his kind.
but see what I like about you, Cube, is I understand why you say certain shit to certain people and you just tell the truth. And that's necessary sometimes. Whereas like with me, sometimes I'll do it, but not really. Truest won't really do it unless you really push him to do it. But sometimes you need somebody like that in your circle that's just gonna go right off the cuff and fucking say it and check somebody. That's why I always people be like, "Oh, we gotta stop this." Cube doing. I'd be like, "Yo, that's who he is. What you want me to change the nigga? I can't change him. That's his character."
Man, listen, civilization was built on niggas with characters like mine. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't get civilization pussyfooting around. When it's time to get something done, I'm one of them niggas that's just finna say, okay, this is what we gotta do. Let's go get it done. It's like this, it's like that, it's like this. You stand over there, you get over there, you grab the pitchfork, and let's get it done.
Well, there's
Like
also a power
no,
to be
no,
able
I
to
agree.
influence things with a very softer approach, and that's still powerful.
Yeah, that's the power that women have, and not trying to
Oh
disrespect. No.
man.
And see, hold on,
Oh man.
no. Because a lot of people say like I trash women a lot, but I'm trying to big. I'm not even talking about the truth. I'm talking about women. This is the power that women have. You know what I'm saying? That they're able to use their emotions to get people to do things. So you're right about that, brother. I'm just saying you're right, and this is a great power that women have.
Troy, you want? Oh, what's up, Dulcinea?
What's up?
All right,
Peace,
maybe she.
peace, peace and love to everyone.
Peace, peace, peace.
Peace, peace.
But yeah, I would say nothing
Dulcinea, you want
offended
to
me.
answer Spider
When
Face?
it comes to ethos, pathos, and logos, people don't even understand the definition. So I would say that Q goes a lot of logos, and just different things because that's really that authoritative voice when they were using logos. It's pretty much the explicit dictation of the cosmos and what they meant by the Greek gods at the time. So what's happening is there's this battle right now between young people that have just common sense and people that want to just stick with the echo chambers of what's being told. And we know scientifically, there's no consensus really that dictates science. Science is just something that is life, it's nature. So we should be able to observe it, test it, and make it make sense. And that's where we have a lot of science that it does, but there's a lot of science that doesn't do that. And then we have an authoritative figures in what they call science, telling us that this has to be true because it's science. And what a lot of people tend to do instead of arguing my points or anything and say, oh, well, science gave us this. But think of how crazy someone would have sounded when they said back in the 1500s or so that you'd be able to do this on the internet, talking to people from millions of miles away, even in other countries, and they're going to base it on waves that you can't even see. They would have told that person that they're crazy, that that's pseudoscience. But we know all the basis of things that we don't know and don't understand can be the base of a science that comes later. So that's all we're saying now is we're going with our common sense and really looking over these things to understand it for ourselves instead of regurgitating what an authoritative figure has told us, because scientifically they've already told us that authoritative figures can induce a feeling amongst us where they can even make us go to the point to kill somebody just because of the authoritative figure that tells us to do so.
And you know what, sister? I 100% agree with you. By like using common sense, I 100% agree with you when you're taking out the fucking trash or when you're trying to cook a spaghetti dinner. But you don't get an atom bomb using common sense. You have to deal with various levels of science. So this is the issue that I have with the younger crowd, if you will, that you were referring to. It's like, no, they're not even, they're attempting to debunk science by using common sense. That is a problem for me because how do you test and repeat common sense? Yeah, duh, it works. If you want to go cut your yard with a pair of scissors, but not with a lawnmower, it's a piece of machinery. So that's always going to be where we're gonna have issues at, and I'm not just saying we, me and you, but anybody who thinks like that. Like to me, the world that we live in today, that shaped, was built on science, not common sense. And last thing I'll say is this: when you said, damn, it just slipped my mind. I apologize. Go ahead. I'm sorry, y'all.
Well, I would say I disagree with a lot what you're saying. I get it that it's gonna take more than that because it does take, and just not even a base of science, but
Hold
mechanics
on,
or
really quick. I hate to cut
yes,
you off, but
okay.
it just popped in my head, and I want you to address that point, but also address this too. When you said that if you would have told people 200 years ago that we would be able to speak with people without using wires and things of that nature, they would look at it as like, ah, come on, man, you tripping.
I didn't say without using wires because I'm
Well,
in the
you
computer
said not.
science field, so I know exactly what they tap into. They use wires to tap into waves, but these are waves, wave frequencies that allow you to be on the internet.
But hold on,
You have to understand how those wave frequencies work and how wires are
you right? Okay, okay.
with them.
Oh, okay. But I was just alluding to the way how the common man would see it. That's how you would explain it to him. So okay, we don't have to use wires. I apologize. I didn't get what you said exactly. I didn't agree. I didn't say how you said it exactly. But the point still remains that they would be like, what? That doesn't even make sense. And the reason why it doesn't make sense is because they've never seen anything like it. They've never seen anything like it. No different if you go to an alien world that's never saw the same thing, they would think that you're crazy too. So it has nothing to do with, common sense and all of this. It just has to do with people not being exposed to said technology, and hence the word technology. But go ahead, sister.
And I agree with that, but you have to realize that that same principle is why there's science that evolves over time, and why they don't say it's debunked, but they say that it's evolved to understand it better, and then they take out the previous old information that's inaccurate. It means that people have stumbled upon or upon different truths that now invalidate what they believed to be true previously. So that's always going to be a part, especially when we're talking about science. But what I was saying before, as far as when you're talking about logical sense, you do have to use common sense for logic. The lawnmower did take mechanics and science, but it took common sense as well. Because if someone came and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna just put a whole bunch of the same clippers that we use to cut hair And at the time, they would be like little itty bitty clippers and say, let's use that to cut the lawn and make a huge machine that has it all over, spread over the lawn, so you can do one clip and then be done. That's not logical. That's not common sense as far as the machine. So someone had to actually think about this in the best forms, the best ways to produce it. And that's why it takes both common sense and logic. But for the people that want to take common sense away from it completely and just say, oh, all it takes is an authoritative voice, that's not science at all. That's straight ethos. That's straight emotion. It has nothing to do with any kind of knowledge whatsoever to say an authoritative figure told me so it's true. So when we get back to this saying that it's a monogenesis, it's saying that we come from monkeys, there's a bunch of parts of the theories that are questionable. And when people ask those questions, they can't be answered. Just like today when we were talking with Sanchez and I asked everyone a question that they were free to answer. No one could answer it because first, they don't even understand the out of Africa theory is only talking about Homo sapiens sapiens. They don't understand the difference between Homo sapiens sapiens and Homo sapiens that existed alongside of the Neanderthals and the Denisovans. And then they don't understand how they can explain that the species that were able to go on and move along as Homo sapiens sapien all met up in Africa and the rest of them died off, but they never tell us how.
Yeah, I'm sorry, sis. What was your question in regards to that exactly? I didn't hear it. What was your question?
So, according to the out of Africa theory, the Homo sapiens sapien, which is the modern human, all came out of Africa, and everyone, all the other hominin species that lived any other place, they died off. The explanation is that the Homo sapien and the other Neanderthal and Denisovan met up in Africa at some point and they mixed. But from the Homo sapiens sapiens, we see the different races of people have different amounts of Denisovan, different amounts of Neanderthal, and different amounts of Homo sapien. How is that if they all came from one source, Homo sapiens sapien, that came out of Africa?
Yes. So, and again, I'm not a biologist, but I know a little something on the subject. So, to my understanding, Neanderthal and Denisovan and all of them all the hominins have their origin in Africa, and they make their way out of Africa, and they begin to mix with each other in like the Eurasia area. They don't actually mix in Africa. They mix in parts of Asia and parts of Europe. And this is why you see higher amounts of their genes in the people from that region and not so much so in people on the continent of Africa. Because yes, you're correct. Those hominids, they have their origin on the African continent, but they don't begin to mix in mass until they make their way to these other land masses, according to the theory. I'm not saying this is what I believe. That's just what the theory professes.
And okay, I can agree with that, but isn't the theory saying that now the Homo sapiens sapiens that we know today all came from out of Africa?
Yes. It actually says all hominids, not just Homo sapiens sapien, but all hominids come out of Africa.
That's true too, but they said that they met back up, right, and in Africa, and then all the other ones died off, right? Because they would say that other species that were in other places like Asia, Europe, or anything, they did not become Homo sapiens sapiens. Only the ones in Africa became Homo sapiens sapiens, and then went off from there.
Well, so all of the hominids that have their origin to Africa, they all migrate out and they mix elsewhere. They don't mix in Africa, including Homo sapiens sapien. Homo sapiens sapien didn't just stay in Africa. They went out to these other continents along with Neanderthal and the other hominids, and they mix over on the other continents. This is why you don't have large amounts of their DNA amongst African people. Now, it's still there because I'm not saying the mixing didn't happen at all in Africa, but it didn't happen as abundant as it did other places. And it's probably due to them being in less numbers elsewhere. They would have been in more abundance in Africa, being that that's where they came from, right? So when the numbers are lower, they have less mating options, right? So this could explain as to why they would have made it more elsewhere in new lands. That's just what the theory says. Again, this isn't what I necessarily believe, but that's the way they explain it. And
I'm not
Jay,
a
you're
woman
you're
beater.
funny.
Okay, so
I'm
then
not a
Jay,
woman
you're
loser.
Jay, you are.
sapien part. So explain how then only Homo sapiens sapiens come out of Africa, and that's modern humans. Period. And we're all modern humans, right?
Yes, we're Homo sapiens sapiens, but all the hominids come out of Africa. We're just the only ones that survive, supposedly.
That's my point. So now, as the only ones that survive, when we're talking about the out of Africa's theory, it's saying the ancestors of our current human populations came from Africa about 60,000 years ago, right?
Yes.
So how did they all meet back up in Africa to be the only Homo sapiens sapien to survive?
Again, when you say they met back, like what hominids are you saying met back up in Africa?
Oh,
Like which ones are you saying met back up? Are you saying like Neanderthal came back to Africa after they left, or like what
Hold on,
exactly are
hold on.
you?
I want her to answer that question. I'm interested.
Sorry, I had to walk away for a second. But Jatrus, repeat your question.
When you say they met back up in Africa, which hominids are you saying met back up in Africa? Are you suggesting that after Neanderthal left out of Africa that they came back, that they back migrated into Africa?
I believe they would have to, because from the theory, it can't be that Homo sapiens sapiens went out and then hooked up with Neanderthal. They didn't exist anymore. The Denisovan didn't exist anymore. Only Homo sapiens sapiens existed at this time, right?
No, that's not true. So Homo sapiens, sapiens, they existed alongside these other hominids.
This is how we
They
have
list
their DNA, especially the Neanderthal, within our genome. For some of us, a lot of us, excuse me. So they had to live concurrently.
So 60,000 years ago, a Neanderthal and a Denisovan existed?
Sister,
well, Homo sapiens sapiens been around.
hold on. We're about to
No,
waste time.
Homo sapiens have been around 300,000
Hold
years.
on.
Homo sapiens sapiens came 60,000 years ago.
Okay, listen. How would you explain the DNA that a lot of humans carry from Neanderthals? How would you explain it?
You would have to explain it to be that Homo sapiens and Neanderthals and Denisovans existed all at the same time, as they did, and they mixed together, and those mixtures became different Homo sapiens sapiens across the world, but they didn't just come out of Africa.
Okay, so I just want you to use common sense. Don't utilize science whatsoever, since common sense is
No, I don't have to not utilize science. We're
so you
using
so
the
so
common
so you
sense to
can't.
analyze science.
So you
We're
can't.
not throwing away science. We can talk about science, and we're making sense of it now.
Okay, so are you agreeing that you cannot solely use common sense to have this conversation?
I've never said solely use common sense. You can
No.
rewind.
I didn't say that you said that. I'm asking you a
Wait,
question. Are you
hold
saying?
on, hold on, Cube. I
No, I just need
I
that
just wanted to
answer.
finish
No, I
up.
just need that answer, and I'm done. Y'all can
I
go back.
never said that, and I would say that you
I'm not
don't just
saying
use
that you.
common
I'm not
sense.
saying
You would
that you
have to
said it.
use all the tools of science plus common sense. And you
Okay, got
cannot
it.
take away common sense as an importance in science. It is.
So Dulcinea, I understand you're drawing the distinction between Homo sapien and Homo sapien, as you should. Most people don't recognize that difference. I agree. Homo sapiens sapien comes around 70,000 years ago, right? But how long ago would you say Neanderthals? Well, not what would you say. How long is it said that Neanderthals went extinct?
She's probably taking care of at home. But real quick, y'all.
Oh no, no,
I'm
not no
here,
no
and I was
problem.
just checking it as far as it. No, you can go on.
All right, real quick. I just want to
Ye-
say we had this shit wrong. Let me just say this real quick because I like to correct myself when we're wrong. Truth, it looks like pathos is emotions and feelings, ethos is credibility and ethics, and logos is logic and reason. So I just
So
wanted to,
we had two that were interchanged, which were pathos and ethos.
yeah, we had that mixed up. I just want to clarify that for the
That's
record.
what's up.
Yeah, that was my bad. I was mistaking ethical arguments with emotional ones, but they don't have to be interchangeable.
All
I
good,
was
all good.
incorrect. Um, but yes, so uh, just according to what I understand, Neanderthal is said to have went extinct 40,000 or so years ago. So if Homo sapiens sapien arised around 70,000, or even if we go with 60,000, that's about 20,000 years of coexistence.
Yeah, and I do get that and understand that they're kind of quoting different dates every day and time, but they do say that the Neanderthal went extinct around the same time that modern humans came around. So
What would
it
you?
just depends on what your views on it. Of everyone I know says as far as the Ethiopian is the earliest Homo sapien that comes out of Africa, but it's kind of questionable as far as science if Neanderthals actually lived within the time where Homo sapiens emerged.
Well, see, you got to understand when they say modern humans, they're actually grouping both of those, Homo sapien and Homo sapien sapien. That's what they're talking about. But yeah, that is what they say. But when it comes
And
to
also, one last thing I just wanted to say to you, Dulcinea, I think a lot of times some of the people you speak to don't answer these questions because I know they know this. I know they know this information. A few of them went to school for this stuff. You know, I think the problem is a lot of these guys you talk to, they're purposely withholding information to try and bait you into a debate so they can get a gotcha moment. But with brothers like me and Jay and Cube, uh, we kind of don't mind talking freely because everything isn't a gotcha moment. Um, like I said, I don't know everything. I correct myself when I'm wrong and people present stuff to me. But, I'm not trying to like stroke my ego with this. I'm really curious and trying to learn about a lot of these things. But I think sometimes people on certain platforms will withhold information to try and get you at a later point in time.
you know what, brother,
And
I
so,
do that.
and then so a question on that: can you give a definite Homo sapien that existed at the same time as the Homo sapien that arose out of Ethiopia that they gave us? I can give I think it's the Amma one, or I can get the exact name for it. But can you tell me what is the Homo sapien uh, that existed at that time?
You mean that existed alongside Neanderthals?
No, alongside the Homo sapien that you're saying they existed at the same time. So, um, show me the Homo sapien that existed when the Homo sapien existed.
Oh, well, see, that's why I told you earlier, is that when science says modern humans, they're grouping Homo sapien and Homo sapien sapien together because
And
Homo
I get
sapien.
that. So you should have an
No, hold on,
example of
listen,
those
listen,
groupings. Show
but
me a bone structure and should tell me that one's Homo sapien. And then I already know the Homo sapien in
okay,
Ethiopia. So I got that one.
okay,
Show me a Homo sapien now at the same time.
okay, okay. So give me a second to pull that up. But what I want to tell you is that they're largely indistinguishable. They're largely indistinguishable. This is how this is one of the ways how we know that we are apes, and further down the line, monkeys. They're largely indistinguishable. But if you give me a second, I can pull that up for you. Okay.
Dulcinea,
Okay, thank you.
you got your boy Spider Face. You got some criticism for you. Spider Face, he likes to, I don't know, but there it is. But yeah,
Oh
I just
yeah,
want
it
to
doesn't
say that.
bother me. I know how people are where it is, but this moment is more of the gotcha moment because I don't care if they're largely the same or indistinguishable. I just want to see that one Homo sapien existed at the same time as the Homo sapiens sapiens, and you should be able to show me that
Well,
fossil that proves that. And it needs to be a Homo sapien and not a Homo sapien sapien.
okay, sister. This is what you have to understand first. This is the first thing. Not everything.
Why do I
Not
need to
every.
understand anything first before you can prove to me that happened?
No, because as the brother said, your logic is flawed, and I'm pointing out how your logic is flawed. Because what you're saying is, okay, show me this and show me this existing at the same time. So what I'm trying to explain to you is that it's a thread. So you're right, we should be able to show it, but everything that died does not leave a fossil behind. I want you to understand that. Do you understand that portion?
Oh, I know, but then now we're getting into your beliefs then because now it didn't leave a fossil behind. You don't have
I
evidence
didn't
for it,
say
but I
that.
have to go through your beliefs because of some authoritative figure has told you this. No, I need to see that this is true. Because from what I
Okay.
know is the Homo sapiens come out of the Homo sapien line and Homo sapiens stop existing and then Homo sapiens existed.
Okay.
So
So
show me that
let
Homo
me try to
sapiens
explain.
and Homo sapiens existed at the same time within the scientific reason through
Okay.
scientific proof.
Let me try to explain this to you again, because you're using common sense, and this is part of the
Okay, so you're
problem.
gonna do more preaching
Hold
to me
on,
instead of
relax,
showing me?
relax, relax, relax. Because I'm trying to prep you for what you're about to see, because you don't understand it. Your logic is flawed. It's flawed. So now, what I'm trying to tell you is this: we have Homo sapiens and Homo sapiens sapiens. When we begin to look at the bones, they're largely indistinguishable. They're largely indistinguishable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a Homo sapien, and then I'm going to show you a Homo sapien sapien. And you know what you're going to say? You're going to say, "Oh, that's the same thing." So what you don't
No, I'm not. As
understand.
long as they existed at the same time, I really want to see this.
Okay. All right. Give me 1 second. And yes, she is beating me up with common sense. Common sense. Yeah. Common sense. Yeah.
But I hope
Give
you
me.
are going to show me two different bone structures, though. Yeah, if you show me the
No,
exact same thing, I'm going to point
that
that out.
there we go. And see, there it is. You're asking me to show you something that's two different things when I'm telling you
No, I'm
what
not saying two different things. I'm saying
you
don't show
literally
me
just
the
said that.
Ethiopian bones that we know that are Homo sapien and
Oh,
tell me that
hello.
those are Homo
Yeah,
sapien
yeah, we hear
and
you.
Homo sapien at the same time. No,
But
no, no,
see,
no,
this
no.
is
Show
why
me a
you don't
different bone
understand the
structure than the ones
conversation.
out of Ethiopian that we know are Homo sapien.
But
So
sister,
hold
this is
on.
why.
Cube. Question: Are you? So I'm just trying to get some
So you're gonna
clarity
show
on
me
where
a
we're.
Homo sapien and not a Homo
Hold
Wait,
on,
sapien?
Dulcie.
What do
Hold
you
on, Dulcie.
mean?
Hold on, real quick. Go
yeah,
ahead,
because
Cherry.
I'm a little lost where we got in the conversation. So Cube, are you making an argument that Homo sapien and Homo sapien existed at the same time? Because my argument was that
No,
Homo sapien
no, because
sapien and
Homo sapien gives rise to Homo sapien sapien.
right. So
That's what I'm trying to
I'm
tell her.
so hold on. I'm just a little confused how we got here because I know what I was saying was that Homo sapien sapien and Neanderthal coexisted, but I wasn't saying that Homo sapien and Homo sapien coexisted. Is that what you were arguing, Cube? Because that's not what I was arguing.
Bro, it's impossible. That's why I said it's a thread. It's a thread. It's impossible for that to happen at the same time, because what it is, it's small little.
So why are we even? So why are we wasting time with this
No,
conversation?
because she doesn't understand it. Thus, her question. She doesn't understand it. So the only thing I can give her is two different structures, 100,000 years apart.
Why are you saying she don't understand it? What if she just
No,
don't
it
agree with
can't
it?
be 100,000 years apart, because then that's
What
my
don't she
point.
understand?
That's my
Wait,
point
hold on.
exactly.
Help
It
me
cannot be
understand.
100,000 years apart.
Listen to what she just said. This is
What's
why
good,
she doesn't
Marquise?
understand.
What's
I'm
good,
about to tell you.
Marquise? What's good, Marquise? We're looking for you, man.
Peace to you, brother Marquise. The reason she doesn't understand it is that she doesn't believe that we can show skeletons that are 100,000 years apart. That question clearly shows you don't understand the conversation that's being had. That's why I'm telling you.
If you look
I'm
up
forewarning you.
Neanderthals right now, it will tell you that they existed amongst early humans, not Homo sapiens sapiens. They existed amongst Homo sapiens. So we already know that Homo sapiens, Denisovans, and Neanderthals existed all around the same time. But that is not what the theory or the out of Africa theory says about the Homo sapiens sapien. The Homo sapiens sapien is our modern ancestor that produced all races of people, according to it.
So
listen,
Neanderthal
Asians came out of Homo sapiens sapien. The Europeans came out of it. The Americans, Africans, etc. So what they're saying, as far as when it comes to this, is that all these other hominin species that were existing all over the world, they stopped existing for this Homo sapiens sapiens species to come out of Africa.
No.
So my question is, then if you're saying no, and there was Neanderthals and Denisovans that existed at the same time in other regions, where when the Homo sapiens.
No, in the same region. In the same region. That's what I'm saying.
So the Neanderthals existed in Africa, you're saying, at the time?
Neanderthal existed in Africa, Asia, and Europe. And I'm saying they coexisted in the same areas as Homo sapiens sapien.
Okay, so the ones that
and they actually mixed with Homo sapiens sapien as well. Hence why in those regions that I mentioned earlier, they have higher percentages of Neanderthal DNA.
Right, which I understand that according to the theory. So the other ones would die off, and the ones that mix with the Homo sapiens sapiens live on. Now show me a Neanderthal or a Denisovan that existed during the time of the Homo sapiens sapien. We know that the earliest Homo sapiens sapien comes out of the Ethiopia. It's the Amos bones. Homo sapiens sapien. Hold on. So show me a Neanderthal or a Denisovan that existed at the same time, because science says that they didn't. That Homo sapiens sapiens came about, and then the other ones went extinct.
That's not true. That's not true. Hold on. Jay, do me a favor. Jay, are you on your laptop?
Yeah, what's up?
Look up when did Neanderthal go extinct, right? Look up when did Neanderthal go extinct. I want you to put on the record the date science says Neanderthal would extinct. Then I want you to look up when did Homo sapiens sapien emerge.
All right,
okay.
Can we just pause right there before we start going? Because I want to get the answer for you. Is that cool? Can we get the answer?
Yeah, and I got it pulled
I know.
Whenever you're ready.
I know the answer already. I know the answer.
Dulcinea, you share it.
It's already sharing in the back. I'll be quick with this.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Here we go.
Okay, so it says for more than 350,000 years, Neanderthals inhabited Europe and Asia until a certain change in evolutionary standards. They disappeared around 40,000 years ago. This was around at this was at around the same time the anatomically modern human Homo sapiens emerged from Africa.
Okay, pause right there. Pause right there, please. And this is what I was trying to tell you earlier, is that when science says modern humans, they're grouping in Homo sapien as well as Homo sapien sapien. Do you understand that at first? So, because I have another place I want to go. Do you understand that their modern human is a term for Homo sapien and Homo sapien sapien? Do you understand that? Yes or no? I literally said this about 5 minutes ago, and this is where you got caught up. I knew this is where you were getting caught up at. That's why I was trying to tell
Can
you.
you
This.
repeat that?
Okay,
Cube?
but
Hold on. I told
Repeat
the
your
sister,
point, Cube.
I told the sister 5 minutes ago because she kept using modern human, and I told her, I said, when it comes to science, when they use modern human, they're grouping in Homo sapiens and Homo sapien sapien. I knew this was the stumbling block for her. That's why I told her that 5 minutes ago. So, do you understand that, sister? Okay, maybe she had to go deal with something real quick.
Yeah.
it's the Homo sapien as well, because we have to understand humans just refer to hominids. Like an Arthropithecus is a human, technically, by classification. Hominids are humans. So when we're talking about modern humans, yes, a Homo sapien is absolutely a modern human. But we could just keep this simple. The source she just pulled up says that Neanderthal went extinct around 40,000 years ago, right? So now all we have to do is look up, when did Homo sapiens sapiens come about? What is the date on Homo sapiens sapiens?
And see, this is why I asked the sister that question, because my subsequent question was going to be, if she remembers that I also asked her, well, how do some humans have Neanderthal DNA? They had to live concurrently. So
Yeah, I'm a baby, and even I can understand that. I'm a baby. I can understand that. Too.
Like, come on, like that's why I stopped her to try to catch her at the stumbling block where she was at. I knew
good logic, Q. Good logos right there with that one. Even my dumb ass can understand that.
No, you're not dumb. You just dumb
Well,
as fuck.
go.
No,
Can you pull up the Homo sapien
joking.
sapien? Because all it's giving us is this, which is exactly what I said. The Homo sapiens, not the Homo sapien sapien. The Homo sapien, the Neanderthal, and the Denisovan existed at the same time. That is the three groups that make that Homo group that you're showing right now, not the Homo sapien sapien. So that's where we're still going to get caught up.
Homo
Can we get a date? Wait, hold on. Cube. We're dancing around this. Can we get a date?
Order, y'all. Order.
Can we? Yeah, not because we're complicating something very simple. Can we get a date? Can we get a date, please? A Homo sapien sapien. And if it's before 40,000 years ago, we don't have to keep arguing this.
Right. I agree with you, brother. It's a waste of time.
Y'all hear that ethos right there? Y'all hear that ethos in True's voice? Told y'all, man. Told y'all. All right, Dulce, you got the date?
As far as what I'm seeing, they can't exact get date. They say it's anywhere from 60,000 years to 40,000 years ago.
Hold on, say that again. Can you say that?
They're saying it could be dated for anything to 60,000 to 40,000 years ago.
So
well, that's a gap. That's a gap. That's a gap of 20,000. That's a gap. That's a gap.
Let me say this, yo, because I feel like sometimes we're playing Team A versus Team B. Like over here, I like to keep it where we're actually trying to learn. I don't like when it comes to debatey. So just pull it up. You know, it's not a gotcha moment because I'm fucking stupid with this shit. So please, can y'all clarify for me so I can actually learn something?
Yeah,
I don't care who wins.
I'll show something. Yeah, I'm not trying to win anything. I'm more so trying to get the sister to understand what she's actually looking at. That's it, man. So yeah, go ahead and pull that up, sister, so we can see that. Because then I want to show you something, so you can understand more so my point. That's it. Like you said something earlier, like about the gotcha moments. I reserve that for niggas like Unc and a lot of these like idiot niggas. I reserve that for them. But people that I'm cool with, that I actually F with, I'm not trying to get gotcha moments on y'all because I know I'm not right about everything. You know, but the things that I know I'm right about, I stand 10 toes on. But yeah, go ahead and pull that up, sister, if you can, so we can take a gander, if you
Yeah,
will.
even Marquise, like me too. Me and Marquise trying to learn, y'all,
Yeah, it's no problem with that.
because I'm confused right now. I need clarity.
Yeah. Now I kind of figured what she was going from the beginning, and that this is what happened when you use common sense. And I'm not trying to throw a shout at the sister, but this is what happens when you try to use common sense instead of just analyzing and studying the science. You get caught up in this type of stuff.
All right, real quick, what date are we looking for right now? What date are we looking for right now?
We're looking to see when
The
how
emergence.
old or the emergence of Homo sapiens sapien. We know Homo sapien, which is a modern human, comes around 300,000 to
Well, let me just
500,000
share
years
it. I
ago.
have it here.
But
I
Okay,
have
she
it here.
okay.
I could just share it.
yeah,
All right.
So we talk about the Homo sapiens, right? Or Homo sapiens sapien.
Homo sapiens
Homo
sapien
sapiens
specifically.
sapiens.
Okay. Let me pull that up then real quick. Give me 1 second. Or if you have it, sister, I thought you said you had it.
Just pull it up,
Oh,
Q.
I'm looking for the bones. I think it was like a 60,000 year bone, but it's not pulling up. Right now it's only pulling up Homo sapiens for me, so it's not giving me the Homo sapien human, but give me a second.
Yeah, I just know from my research, it was 60,000 to even 73,000 years old. But I mean, even if it's 50,000 years old, that's 10,000 years before Neanderthal goes extinct. 10,000 years is a very long time. So just let's get a pinpoint date.
Need to get that Jeopardy music. All right.
I need to I need to get a fucking laptop. I'm tired.
Yeah, man. Get on that. But I know you just paid for your veneers, so I know that took a chunk out your pocket.
Yeah, man.
All right. When did modern day humans first emerge? Is that the same thing? That's Homo sapiens sapien, right?
No, don't use modern human
Nope.
because
Okay.
Homo
Don't use modern
sapiens.
humans. Although she likes the modern human word, no, we want to use Homo sapiens sapien
Yeah, that's
because
the one I got as far as it. So it would be those late archaic humans we're talking about.
modern human includes Homo sapien. I don't think she wants to use this, so we want to look for something that has just specifically Homo sapiens sapien because modern human is going to give you hundreds of thousands of years.
Which this source works. Doesn't it give us the 60,000? So I'll take it, the 60,000 through 40,000. What about the Denisophan? Well, we don't have a date for the Denisophan, but
Hold on.
what
Why
it
are
would
we jumping
happen,
to that? Hold
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
Why are
yeah.
we
Hold on, hold
jumping
on,
to
hold
the
on, hold on. No, no,
ethnicity?
no, no, no,
because
no, 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 no.
let me
I'm
finish,
trying to learn.
because
I'm
let me
trying to
finish.
learn.
What could also be a theory that's accepted is that they didn't all just emerge out of Africa, that these hominin species that were admixing with each other existed in other places other than Africa, just like we know that the ones prior to the first archaic Homo sapiens sapiens did.
Yeah, see,
And
this
we
All
is
right,
the
don't
guys.
have
silver
I want
to
to
talk.
believe that they
hold on. I
died
want to
off
read this
without
real
proof.
quick. Hold on, Dosanair, because I'm confused as fuck. I told you I'm a baby when it comes to this shit. So let me just read this real quick from Perplexity AI, and then Cube. Can you summarize what I'm reading and make sense of what you guys are trying to, you know? So it says the exact date when Homo sapiens sapiens first appeared is still a matter of debate among scientists, and the search results provide different estimates. However, the oldest Homo sapien fossils that anthropologists have found so far date to around 315,000 years ago. DNA evidence drawn from comparisons of different human genomes, as well as those of close cousins like Neanderthals and Denisovans, put the split between the three groups at least 400,000 years ago. Some scientists suggest that Homo sapiens evolved in Africa between 350 and 260,000 years ago through a merging of populations in East and South Africa. Other sources suggest that Homo sapiens evolved in Africa around 300,000 years ago. All right, Cube, can you summarize that for me?
Yeah, I think it's very simple. They're looking at it, and some are saying 400,000, some are saying 350 to 260,000 years ago, because the only thing that we can go off of is the fossils themselves, which we're finding more and more every year. So it's not concrete. That's why it has to be hundreds of thousands of years. And also, this is why I was making allusions to earlier when she wanted me to show her the skulls, is that I said I can show you something with 100,000 years apart, but they're going to look pretty much largely the exact same. But when we're talking about Neanderthals, Denisovans, and modern humans or Homo sapiens, they all live concurrently.
Okay.
That's what they're in a nutshell. They're explaining that they lived concurrently,
and they split.
Because if you notice at the beginning, I'm sorry, but at the very beginning of the article or the answer, what they're saying is that Homo sapiens, that's a matter of debate. So it doesn't really give you a year, but it does talk about Homo sapien. It does talk about Neanderthal, and it does talk about Denisovans.
Right, which that's not up for debate. The point about it is
it actually is, because it tells you 300. It's 100,000 years apart. So how is that?
Yeah, well, I'm saying the Homo sapien and Denisovan and Neanderthal is not up to debate right now. That's not.
You want to share something, Dolce?
Everyone agrees that they exist.
Oh, that's what you're saying. That's not what
we're discussing. That's not what we're debating.
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I agree.
what's being up for debate is, which I understand with going through this out of Africa theory, but again, that out of Africa theory is saying the Homo sapiens came out of Africa. But the whole point of it is to say that they were purely out of Africa would say that the other admixtures ceased to exist as far as it, and only the ones in Africa did. And that's what I'm saying I don't believe in. If we know that those admixtures were all over the world, and we even know the oldest human DNA now has been found in Spain, that means for a fact that the multi-regional hypothesis is a likely hypothesis that all these hominin admixtures were going to different places, like the Homo sapien going to Spain, going to Europe and everything. And the Homo sapien did not just emerge out of Africa. The Homo sapien could have emerged from a multi different.
Wait, where are you getting? Hold on. Hold on. Where, Dulcinea, where are you getting the information that hominids, that the other hominids besides Homo sapien emerged outside of Africa? Because according to evolution, no. Evolution says all hominids emerge out of Africa. So where is the sources or information that you have that says that Neanderthal, Homo erectus, whatever else hominids emerged elsewhere?
I can give you the oldest human DNA. Give me 1 second, and then I can give you the oldest hominin DNA that they found.
And it's saying that they emerged elsewhere outside of Africa.
Not that the DNA was found. It was found earlier than the DNA that they used for the out of Africa theory.
And these were what? Neanderthal bones? These were.
They are mainly Denisovan.
And so you're saying that this debunks Denisovan coming from Africa?
There's a possibility that it debunks the Denisovan coming from Africa, yes. Because they can't find an earlier source for the Denisovan in Africa.
Okay, interesting. I'd have to look at it. I can't argue with something I haven't looked at yet.
Y'all hear that ethos right there? Look, he credible. He trustworthy. He told the truth. That's that ethos right there, man. Trying to tell you, Truist. All right. So where are we at with this? Where are we at? Are we reaching a conclusion? All right, Dulcinea has another screen. I see it. Okay, go ahead, Dulcinea.
Hold on. Let me just respond to what she just said real quick, if I can, please, because this is quite ridiculous.
Uh-oh.
It's quite ridiculous. When we start to, because see, I understand you want to play around with modern humans and things of that nature, and we can do that. We can chase our tail. But when we start to look at Australopithecus ramidus, Australopithecus afarensis, when we begin to look at these things, we find these in Africa. That's where we find these things. So we can play around with they found this over here or they found that over there. What you cannot erase is 4.2 million years of fossils that we found in Africa. So we can play around all you want. With this was found there and this was found there. Show me something, DNA or anything that predates Australopithecus afarensis. Are you able to do that?
Prove to me that the Australopithecus afarensis.
Ma'am, can you answer the question? Why can't you just
I'm
answer the
answering
question
right now. I'm answering the question.
But you're asking me a question. Can
no,
you
I'm
show
not,
me?
I'm not.
Okay.
Okay. I'll answer your question. There's no proof that the Australopithecus afarensis evolved into any hominin species. The only
That
proof
wasn't
we
my
have
question.
is that it's primate species.
My only question was, can you show me anything older outside of Africa that's older than
Wait,
Australopithecus
Q.
afarensis?
She just said. Wait.
The Australopithecus afarensis is a hominoid species at all. So
Wait. You're saying Australopithecus is not a hominid?
Yes,
this is what
that's
I'm
what I just
saying,
said.
man.
It's
This
not
is
a hominoid.
crazy.
Wait. Do you have
crazy.
a source for that? Wait. Do you have a source for that?
No, I don't have a source for that.
Well, okay.
Do you have a source that proves that they are human?
I just want
Wait,
to
Dulcinea,
clarify.
Why are you saying what you're saying though?
Wait. Yeah,
Why
that's
are
what
you
I'm
saying
trying to get to. So what makes you say that they're not hominid? Because they're ape looking?
We're not primates. Primates have their own evolutionary tract as well as humans, and we can find hominin species that existed at the same time. And there's a source for that. It's called Forbidden Archaeology by Michael Cremo.
Okay, do you think Homo erectus is a hominid?
The Homo erectus, not necessarily, no.
Okay, so what makes something a hominid for you? Like you clearly accept Neanderthal as a hominid. So what makes something a hominid for you?
So they would have to be a part of the human species that we see has existed for about, I think they dated back to the oldest human or hominoid bones to about I think it's 7 million to 4 million that's in the forbidden archaeology. So they would have to be a part of that hominin species as far as it, and we can see that the primate species and the hominin species have their own evolutionary tract, and the only way to make it where they don't is by saying that those human or hominin bones that they found millions of years ago weren't hominoids, and the primate bones that they found were.
So Dulcinea, can you give us some like characteristics of a hominid?
Yeah, what you can see as far as the hominin bones or anything is the normal skeleton that we have to this day. You can see as far as the fibula, the clavicle. You see the skull for a larger brain. So what the brain size of an Australopithecus afarensis, we see that is a small brain in comparison to the hominin species that would have existed at the same time that they found the bone structure and skulls for. So we see larger brains, the same kind of skeleton, upright Homo erectus, but without the smaller pelvis, the little beings. We were actually pretty tall.
So did
you wait, hold on, Jay. You understand that the Homo and Homo erectus literally stands for hominoid?
I get that of what they're saying, but what I'm telling you, as far as is what they have called the Homo erectus and give you bones for, is a primate, and what existed at the same time was an actual hominoid.
Wow. So what
It's
qualities
cute.
does a
You're stupid,
Neanderthal
man.
wait, what qualities does a Neanderthal have that a Homo erectus you would say like disqualifies it? You got it right inside.
You
Like
can see
what
as far as what they said, like how long it took for our brains to develop into where you can see like a Neanderthal brain, a Denisovan brain, and a Homo sapiens brain is bigger. What you see is with those older Homo erectus, the Australopithecus afaris, and different things, they would have a completely different brain, and they to kind of talk about a different brain structure that is just not a part of the real hominoid species. They're a part of the primate species, and their brains look like what monkeys look like today.
so what would
Truth.
you say the first hominid is? What's the first hominid?
Okay, so you would have the name for it. Let me look. Let me see if they've named it as far as forbidden archaeology. They might have not and just call it a human. But give me a second.
Truth. You are you going to talk about the behaviors of a hominid, Truth, and connect that to
No.
Australopithecus?
The
No,
reason
you're
the
not going to
reason
go
I'm
there.
not the reason I'm not going to go there is because those same behaviors can be seen in other apes, and when we bring that up, she doesn't accept that. So I'm not going to make that argument even when it comes to hominids. So because I can make that same argument with other apes and primates, but that's an argument she doesn't accept. So I'm not going to even waste time on that. I'm just
Oh,
curious
okay.
what she would classify as the first hominid then, and why, you know? Because
Okay,
damn,
because
to
I
say
thought we were going to go into the fact that Australopithecus, like their tool usage and things of that nature. But I thought that's where you were going with it.
that is a great point, but
We actually
we see
see
to
modern tools like steel and being used as early as I think 40 million years ago.
yeah, I was
Um,
gonna say there's other primates that use tools as well. So even
Hmm.
that behavior is not exclusive to hominids at all.
Hey,
Okay.
can I
So,
just
but
share my
what I
screen
would
real
say is
quick?
they don't give a actual name for them. Again, it's something that they don't acknowledge, and they've thrown these archaeologists out of the community for finding these things that predate their theories. But what it will be said is the first existence of hominin and human beings existed in the Tartarian period around 65.5 million years ago to 2.6 million years ago, and then the first evolved closer to the modern human would start to exist 2 million years ago.
Okay, real
Hey,
quick.
hey,
Hold on, Cube. I see you, but Dulcinea brought something on the screen that she didn't get to read yet. Dulcinea, do you want to go through this real quick?
Yes, sure. I can just
Okay.
go in this part
Hold
really
on,
quick.
Cube.
So the elusive disin sorry, I always like as I get tired, but it's the Denisovans cited in oldest human DNA. So let's go down. So as you can see, is what I was saying as far as how they say this human line to be the Homo erectus, and then the modern Homo sapiens, the Denisovans, and the Neanderthals all existing at the same time. So that's what we got of the Homo sapiens. So it says in
okay.
the deep pit at Cima de los Huesos holds plentiful fossils, including more than 6,000 bones from at least 28 individuals. The excavation team, led by Erzuaga, classifies the bones as Homo heidelbergensis, a species that lived about 600,000 to 250,000 years ago in Europe, Africa, and Asia, and gave rise to Neanderthals and perhaps also Homo sapiens sapiens. Pablo's group hoped to compare the DNA from Sima's bones to those of the Neanderthal descendants who appeared in Europe about 130,000 years ago. To extract and analyze such old DNA, Meyer and his colleagues developed a new method to sequence single strands of DNA as short as 35 and 45 base pair length. They eliminated modern contaminating DNA by analyzing only DNA segments with uracil, a base usually found in RNA, and significant older degraded DNA. Instead of the proto Neanderthal genome, however, the painstaking work yielded uh, one that looked more like ancestral Denisovan mtDNA. Borrowing a mutation rate calculated that the fossil was about 400,000 years old, making the age of the other fossil dating methods. What was a Denisovan DNA doing in a proto Neanderthal 7,500 kilometers from Siberia? The authors proposed several scenarios. Perhaps the pre-Neanderthal Sima people interbred with very early Denisovans, so they picked up the mtDNA. Or perhaps Denisovan mtDNA is really the signature of an even more ancient hominin lineage, for example, Homo erectus. Both the semi people and the later Denisovans might have inherited this archaic mtDNA from their common ancestor. Later Neanderthals and modern humans might also have inherited the archaic mtDNA but lost it over time. Most mtDNA lineages eventually go extinct even if the species that carried them persists. Sorry. The paper leaves some researchers frustrated. The authors arrive at no conclusions, grumble the paleoneurologist Emiliano Brunner of the Spanish National Research Center of Human Evolution in Burgos. This is not a great advance, leaving all hypotheses still on. So this is just to point out as far as that they're still learning, there's still debate, there's still a lot of stuff going on where it comes to the theory of out of Africa or the multi-regional hypothesis, but there is different sources that are backing up a possibility of multi-regional as well. So it's not that the out of Africa is the most efficient, it's just what we know as of now.
All right, Cube, you want to respond? Okay, I see you. Here we go.
Yeah, I just want her to take a look at this and tell me if she disagrees with this. Now, these are artist renditions of actual artifacts that we've actually found. So, do you disagree with this at all?
Uh,
Do you
I
want to
guess
break
I
it
do.
down, Cube?
I disagree with the graph. Do I disagree that they found these?
No, I
Is
want you to.
no.
I want no, no,
I
no. Let me tell you what I
disagree
want you to do. I
with
want you to
what we
take a
can
look.
see. Okay,
Hold
I
on,
can give you real quick thing, really quick if you want. I can clearly
okay.
see from this that the Australopithecus looks nothing like the Homo's brains or skull structure. They
You said,
should
hold on.
not be
Say
on
that
the
one more
same
time.
list.
Say
The
that one more time.
Australopithecus do not look like the
Which one?
Homos.
Which one? Which
The
Australopithecus? Which one?
Australopithecus garhi, the Australopithecus ornamentis, the Australopithecus afarensis, the Australopithecus africanus, the Australopithecus aethiopithecus. We can see that all their head
Go in, Dulcinea, go
structures
in.
do not look the same as the Homo heidelbergensis, the Homo edragaster, the Homo habilis, the Homo Rudolph
Go in.
ferengi, Homo sapien. All of them have similar head structures until we get to these Homo erectus and the Australopithecus. So what's going on?
And see,
Why
this
is
is
their head structure
okay.
thinner? Why is their teeth bone not the same?
Right,
It all looks completely different from each
right.
other, and it's because you're trying to mix primates with
Mm,
Homo.
mm, mm. All right. Thank you so much for your observation. Thank you for using common sense. Thank you for using common sense. And
You're
this is why you're
welcome.
no, no. You thank you so much. So this is why you're wrong, and you can't use common sense. You have to deploy science to deal with these matters. You just have to. So when you say, "Well, I don't understand why Australopithecus sediba looks so different than Homo sapien," Australopithecus afarensis looks so much different than Australopithecus robustus or Homo ergaster. Of course, they look different. But what they do, they share so many commonalities. They share so many commonalities. Do they look wholly different? They absolutely don't. So what you have here is when you start off and go as far as back as Australopithecus and Amensis, but we're going to talk about the ones that we actually have skulls for, which is Australopithecus afarensis, which we have 60% of that person that was found. We start to see change. We see evolution is what we see.
And can you say that it's
Well,
that person that they found? That's the Lucy or the Ethiopian one. I just want you to clarify.
yeah. Lucy would be
Okay.
Australopithecus afarensis. Yeah, that would
Yes.
be Lucy.
Okay.
Right, that would be Lucy.
Yeah.
So yes, they do start to look different over time. But see, what you have to understand is when you begin to look at the very bottom here, Homo erectus, I don't know if you can see my cursor, I don't think you can. But when you start to look at Homo erectus, now Homo erectus lived 1.5 million years before Homo sapiens. But we know Homo erectus gave rise to Homo sapiens. Would you agree with that? Hello, is she there?
No, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, why would you say that, Q? Because I could see it. I could see it a different way too.
No,
Why do you?
I know
Why
you
do you
can.
connect? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So why are you disagreeing with Homo erectus giving rise to Homo sapien? I'm listening.
Who are you asking?
The sister Dosey.
All right, go ahead, Dosey.
Because what they've only because what they've labeled as Homo erectus, I don't believe they've been authentic and only labeled hominoid species as Homo erectus. I believe because they're faulty logic, they've thrown in some monkeys in there and said that they're Homo erectus when they're not.
Yeah, this is
But if
funny.
they
All right,
did stick
hold
with
on. Let me ask you this
hominoids,
question.
I would agree.
Okay, and see, this is why we have to stop using common sense and we have to utilize the sciences. You want to know why? Is because when we start to look at people such as Australopithecus, Athapithecus, guess what? We don't find them in the same layer as Homo neanderthalensis. We don't find them in the same layer as Homo ergaster. This is how we know that they came before. So when you look at Homo erectus and directly to the right of it, we see
Go in.
Australopithecus, Athapithecus. We do not see them in the same layer.
Go in, Q. Go in.
You would never find Homo erectus in the same layer of rock as Australopithecus afarensis, Australopithecus gari. You will not find it. This is how we know that these things give rise and other things emerge after them. This is why we have to stop using common sense and deploy science. This is why we have to do it. So you're wrong. I don't care about the DNA that you were talking about because a lot of these species, they lived alongside each other. They lived alongside each other. Homo erectus gives rise to these other species. Homo naledi, Australopithecus robustus. A lot of these species were living alongside each other. We do not find them in the same layer of rock. You have to stop those scenarios. Stop with this
That
forbidden
doesn't prove
stuff.
anything.
Let
I
me,
know you sounded smart, but so Australopithecus. Let's start with the
no. Answer my question. Why don't we
Okay.
find? Hold on. The only question I have is why don't we find Homo sapiens in the same layer as Australopithecus afarensis? That's the only thing I want to know. Why don't we find them in the same layer?
You're
That's
not
all I
going to
want to know.
find Homo sapiens at the same
Why?
layer as Homo
Why?
sapien or as Australopithecus or afarensis because the
Why?
Homo sapien didn't exist. You're going to find another hominoid species that existed at the same time as the Australopithecus afarensis.
So what you're saying is the further that we go back, we find other species lower and lower and lower in different
Yeah, that
levels
are
of.
hominin and not Australopithecus.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. So this is what we're talking about, sister. This is the whole crux of the conversation. You have to put these books away about forbidden knowledge and fairy tale dust and all of this craziness.
That is
The
not
tr-
craziness because you're making my point. We found that there's Homo species. Even this is showing that, but it's not dating other Homo species that it's finding even previous to 4 million years ago. What they're doing is they're showing the Homo species that they're willing to show, which they've even been gracious enough to show us. These Homo species started to come about even as Australopithecus, which are primates. They're not us. But what they won't show is that in these early Australopithecus afarensis and Australopithecus anamensis and those early primate species, that there were other Homo species that existed at that same time and
Okay.
even before.